Hey everybody, it's Bart from the York County History Center, here today to talk to you about oyster harvesting and trade. In the beginning, Native Americans along the Atlantic Ocean fished and collected oysters. Archaeologists have found oyster shells in fire pits, indicating that the Native Americans wrapped them in seaweed and roasted them, making them easier to pop open the shells. And middens of discarded shells 10 meters tall. Think about it, that's 30 feet of discarded shells. In 1614, New York tribes revealed the location of prime oyster beds to the Dutch in exchange for trade items. The English replaced the Dutch, and as more people arrived in the colonies, the demand for oysters increased. Early harvesting methods included using tongs to scoop up the oysters. Oysters are high in protein and relatively cheap, fueling demand. An archaeological dig behind the Golden Plough Tavern revealed oyster shells, indicating a thriving trade with the Chesapeake Bay area. Advertisements for the sale of oysters began appearing in the York Gazette in the 1820s. Dallastown's Centennial Book mentions the construction and shipping of large numbers of wooden oyster baskets to Baltimore by 1844. The oyster industry employed 52,805 people by 1880. Some became watermen, while others worked in the shucking and canning houses. Towing dredges, the skipjack fleet in the Chesapeake Bay harvested 20 million bushels of oysters in 1880. Baltimore became the hub of the American canning industry. Expanding railroads allowed oysters to be shipped nationwide. The growing demand for oysters came at a huge environmental cost. Look at the size of that midden of discarded shells. It's huge. Dredging in the Chesapeake Bay destroyed 3/4 of the reef necessary for oyster survival by 1920. Habitat loss, disease, pollution, and continued overharvesting has reduced the Chesapeake Bay's wild oyster population by 99%. Oyster reefs create important habitat for hundreds of other marine species and filter and clean the surrounding water. One oyster can filter more than 50 gallons of water in a single day. Restoration projects are underway to replenish natural populations, and aquaculture has been introduced to meet the demands for oysters. In 2017, oyster aquaculture was a $186 million industry, producing 36 million pounds of oysters. So what happens to all the shells? The seafood industry produces 7 million tons of mollusk shells a year that are considered nuisance waste. Mollusk shells are 95% calcium carbonate, a common ingredient in cement and the treatment of wastewater and acidic soil. Driveways and paths can be lined with crushed shells, providing drainage and preventing runoff. Shells are also used in reef restoration, providing a place for young oysters, called spat, to attach. With the proper management, oysters should be around for generations to come. Thanks for watching. To learn more about York County's amazing history, visit us at yorkhistorycenter.org.